Make sure your insurance doesn't come up short. Get gap cover with ALA. For more information, follow the links in the description. Hello everybody. I wish I could tell you that today's title is every bit as clickbaity and reactionary as it may first seem. But I am afraid it is not. I am likely going to be barred entry from China permanently for making this video. If I were to make it there, I'd definitely be arrested. If you were to watch it there, you might be arrested. And if you were to share it there, you'd almost certainly be arrested. But what exactly is this hot potato of content that I've created? Am I about to try and host the first ever Cars and Coffee in Tibet? Am I going to be making disparaging remarks about China's premier? Am I to accuse them of some horrendous war crime? No. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the PR policy of a Chinese car maker. So if you're just as confused as you should be, then please watch on, because this might be one of the most important videos I ever make. Now, the original intent of this video was actually quite different. In it, I wanted to talk more a little bit about the philosophy of motoring journalism and how it differs to your average influencer. And this is a topic that I've touched on a number of different times, but it would appear there's still a lot of confusion over it. And the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because a few days ago, I put up an Instagram post, and it was concerning the launch of a new car, the BYD Dolphin Surf, an interesting looking and very aggressively priced small EV, which is exactly the kind of thing that the market probably needs more of. However, I knew for a fact that there was a very high chance many people on this launch would have been paid to be there. More than that, not only would they have been paid to attend, but when you get paid for something like that, there is of course a contract. And in that contract, it would have stipulated what you were or were not to say. And having seen now a few of these contracts before, it would have certainly included things saying you can't be negative about our product, you can't say that anybody else's is better, and before you put your content out, and if you want paying, we are going to make sure that you've only said what we think is appropriate. And there are a whole bunch of people out there who seem to think that that is normal. That is how it is for just about everybody in the industry. Surely this is how all events are run. Isn't it just the case that everything you go on, you are paid and therefore you say nice things? Well, no, that's not how it works at all. As a journalist, not an influencer, it is my job to give you honest feedback on a company's product. I am at any sort of event to tell you what I think of the thing that they have made. Now, they will cover your costs, which generally means things like perhaps a flight or maybe a train ticket or sometimes a hotel. But that is it. We are talking here fundamentally about the difference between an advertisement and an article. And the thing is, provided the line between the two is clear, I have no problem with it. Though I like to see myself as a journalist, I'm even a member of the Guild of Motoring Writers, which is something I'm very proud of and took some effort to get into, because I was one of the first YouTubers they accepted. I have no problem with those who've made their career as an influencer. And if you see an Instagram post that they've put up where somebody's taken them to an exotic location and they're saying what a great product something is, and you know that they've been paid to say that, it's fine. But my issue is that it would appear there are now certain companies that don't really see any difference between influencers and journalists. And I made a big video on this earlier in the year. and it was inspired by an email I'd received from a company representing the Chinese manufacturer JayEmm, in which they had offered to give me money, potentially lots of money, to come on an event for them, take part in a few challenges, and make content that would have looked like normal, quote-unquote, organic content. I hate that word with a passion, by the way, when it comes to content creation. And effectively try and sell this car to you. But it came with a near comical list of demands, and it was very, very clear to me that there was absolutely no way to take part in this event and remain unbiased. So I said to them, thank you, but no thank you. My concern was that with the way they were asking things to be done, I felt that there was a possibility that those taking part might, potentially through no fault of their own, portray things as a regular video and the audience not know that they were very much paid to be there and what they were saying was controlled, because as part of the deal, JayEmm would have had approval of their final cut. In other words, if you said something that they didn't like, they could say, take it out. And as soon as a company has said that there's something you've said or done they don't like, they want you to remove it, that is exercising editorial influence. And that, just in case you are unaware, is the point at which something stops becoming an article, an opinion piece, or a review, and it becomes an advertisement. Now, at the time, I spoke about Chinese manufacturers in general, because a number of friends of mine that have spent a large amount of time in Asia tell me that it's actually somewhat normal over there for companies to just pay everybody, and all of the consumers know that whenever they see an opinion piece, it's likely been paid for. But that's not how we do things here in the West. And I was really concerned that this method of doing things, of just paying everybody, giving them all a big carrot to say nice things, was gonna start coming over here. And the issue is that even if only 1 or 2 people start taking the money, it can poison the reputation of an entire market segment. And what I was going to talk about today is this email here that I received in March. Not long at all after the JayEmm video had actually gone out, and it was from a company representing now BYD. I'll read it to you because it's not particularly long. Hi James, I hope you're doing well. Lucy, who is a contact of mine, passed along your details, and after reviewing your content, I think you'd be a great fit for an exciting opportunity with BYD UK. BYD being another Chinese electric car maker. We are hosting an exclusive launch event for the BYD Sea Lion 7 on March 19th in Milton Keynes, bringing together a group of top creators across automotive, tech and lifestyle. We'd love to invite you to experience the latest in EV innovation firsthand and create engaging content around it. Would you be available to attend? Also, I'd love to understand your, and this bit's in bold by the way, rates for potential collaboration, including content deliverables that would work best for you. Let me know your thoughts and happy to discuss further. It's pretty clear, isn't it? We want you to come to this event. We want you to say nice things. How much are you going to charge us? The daft thing is that had they not said that, I would have genuinely been interested in going, because I think it's really important to keep an eye on all of these new cars coming through, see whether they're good or not, see what they do better or worse than the domestic competition. It's, you know, I think an important thing for a journalist to do is to just keep an eye on what's going on in the marketplace. But the fact that they have said very, very plainly and clearly, we want you there and we want to pay you to be there, well, I can't go, because even if I said I don't want any money, well, there's a good chance that a lot of people there have taken the money, and therefore you as the consumer would be right in not trusting anything I had to say. And this is what today's video is going to be about. But then I was forwarded another video, and the video was made by the lovely Scottish Car Clan. And at the time of filming, it's been out for a little while. It hasn't got too many views, and I'm honestly shocked, because this should be front page news for every single automotive outlet that has any kind of belief in the way that things should be done. And yet somehow nobody's talking about it. I've mentioned it to a few people and none of them even realize that it's a thing. And to be honest with you, it is perhaps the most disturbing thing that I have seen in my entire journalism career. And I'm not a war reporter. I don't go to places in conflict. I don't cover political events. I talk about cars, for crying out loud. This should be about as dull as it gets. And yet, it's not. Now, a few different places have spoken about this, and I do not know who broke the news first. But this I printed off from the Inside EVs website, and here is the title. Here's the headline. BYD takes dozens of influencers to court claiming defamation. The company has sued 37 influencers and put another 126 on a watch list for what it seems is damaging content that they are disseminating. Now, this is all happening in China. They have sued 37 influencers saying they've made defamatory comments. The manufacturer has also set up a news anti-fraud department where people can send in tips reporting on others who might then be potentially taken into court. Now, the article also points out that companies suing influencers for potentially damaging opinions is apparently much more common in China than it is in the West, and thank goodness. However, the thing is, BYD is not a company that operates exclusively in China. They operate across the globe. Now, it says here, 126 content creators have been added to an internal watch list, and they are going to be monitored to see if they say something the company views as damaging to its image. Presumably, they are then going to take those people to court. At least one influencer was required to make a public apology and pay a fine of 100,000 yuan, which is just shy of 14,000 US dollars. Another influencer was fined because they made claims that BYD was financially unstable and on the verge of a bankruptcy. Now, we've got some more articles over here to have a look at. Now, they said BYD was potentially on the verge of bankruptcy, which seemed a bit surprising. But here I've got an article from Fortune, okay, who are not in the business of publishing things just because they think it will get clicks. And it says in here that a number of people, even those within the Chinese government, are quite disturbed at what BYD are doing because they are overproducing and underpricing to the point that they are trying to eliminate all of their natural competition. Now, it says also that, according to one industry source, they suspect that BYD might be in fairly serious trouble because GMT Research says that they think BYD's true net debt is close to $45 billion. Or to put it another way, about 10 to 11 times more significant than they themselves are claiming. And this is a problem because, you know, there are lots and lots of companies in China and the Chinese government don't want one to rule them all. So, yeah, so there's likely some truth to this. And here's the thing. It seems like what you're saying doesn't need to be untrue. It just needs to be true that it has damaged the image of the company. That's a bit disturbing, isn't it? Now, apparently, that there are several other companies as well who have also sued influencers, including the Chinese arm of Nissan, Tesla also, Great Wall Motor, and Cheng'an Automobile. And again, I do want to point out here that this is, you know, not something that hasn't happened here. We all remember Tesla taking Jeremy Clarkson to court. But the thing is that a lot of these companies, they have connections to the Chinese state. And saying something negative about a company owned or partly owned or involved with the Chinese state could could land you in serious hot water. And I'd like you to consider something for just a moment. Let's pretend, shall we, that I was not talking about BYD here. I was talking about BMW. Just imagine for a moment that I was making this video telling you that I found out that BMW or VW or Audi or Mercedes, that they have been suing people that have said things they don't like. Not that they're untrue, but just that they don't like. Oh, the new M5 is a bit overrated. Right? It's too heavy. It's not a good car. It's not a proper M5. It's an i5 with a fancy engine in it, right? Imagine people are being sued, potentially bankrupted by those companies. And imagine the optics of me saying BMW have created a watch list of suspected people that are promoting information it doesn't like. Come on now, we're all adults in here, aren't we? You know the parallels that would be drawn there. You know what people would be saying. You know the regime with which comparisons would be drawn. To paraphrase the great philosopher Confucius, this is some Orwellian shit right here. This is scary. Now, yeah, sure, most of this, nearly all of this is currently happening in China, and I just don't think that it would happen here because, well, it wouldn't really be breaking much of a law here, and I think the optics would be terrible. But we work in a global environment. We work in a global economy. These companies do not exist in the vacuum of China. And here's the thing. There's nothing meaning that they have to do this. There's no rule saying they must sue people that say things that they don't like. They're just choosing to do it because someone somewhere, presumably a lot of people in a lot of places, think this is acceptable and that this is the way to do business. Maybe it's for that reason why I've got this article here that says Brazil has sued BYD over the slave-like conditions in their factory. Yeah, never getting invited to China after this, and if I do, I am not taking that flight. Yeah, workers had to sleep on beds without mattresses. One toilet was shared by 31 people at the plant being constructed. The Labour Office in Brazil is suing the company because of the conditions at the factory built in Camaçari in the north of Brazil. It was supposed to be open this year. It's ironic, really, isn't it, that BYD stands for Build Your Dreams, because it doesn't really sound like a dream to me. There's more here. This is from Amnesty International. And in a ranking of car makers, none of whom, by the way, came out smelling of roses, BYD did the absolute worst. And for all of those that like buying EVs because, you know, they want to save the planet and this, that and the other, then you know what? That's a perfectly admirable thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I don't think we should demonise that. Nothing of the sort. Now, Amnesty have a ranking of many different metrics to work out whether a company is doing, you know, as far as it sees, well enough. And what it calls an adequate demonstration of care for your workforce, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. That will get you 68 to 90 points on their scale. The best company was actually Mercedes-Benz, and they scored 51. So the whole industry really needs to get its act together. But the worst was BYD, and they came out with 11 points. Followed then, I should point this out, you know, got to be fair here, by Mitsubishi, then Hyundai, who were quite a bit better, and then Geely, Nissan, Renault, GM, and Ford. There are so many issues with electric vehicle production, and this is something that should have been obvious to a lot of people for a long time now. China does not care about the environment. The Chinese government doesn't care about the environment, doesn't care about pollution. It certainly doesn't care about human rights. There are widespread accusations of either slave-like conditions or just actual slavery going on at many different factories. And these are factories that don't just build Chinese-made cars, they also supply parts for other cars that are made by Western established manufacturers. And as a society, I think we owe ourselves a responsibility to ask really serious, hard questions. Where are my cars coming from? Because as far as I see it, if your EV is lovely, nice, and not particularly polluting, but it's been built by slaves, I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry, but that is a morally bankrupt thing to purchase. It has been clear for a number of years to anybody that knows anything about the situation that the only reason that the Chinese went so heavily on EVs is because they're sat on many of the very valuable and rare minerals required to build some of the components in them. And their plan for a long time has been to build cars at low prices, undercut all of the competition until they get to a stage whereby nobody else is in business. They are very, very happy to play the long game and lose unthinkable sums of money right up until the point that not one single heritage car maker is left, and then they will control the entire world's automotive supply. That may seem really extreme and a little bit wild and crazy and out there, but it's not. This is a business tactic that has existed for a very, very long time. I'm fairly convinced the Chinese probably didn't even invent it, but this is how things have been done in a lot of sectors for a long old time. Because we're now talking about cars, it's one that obviously interests me greatly. But you got to start asking yourself, okay, this stuff, some of this stuff isn't happening on our shores, but because they're quite happy to do this over in China, where they're allowed to get away with this sort of thing, here they've just got to use the carrot to try and encourage people to say the things that they want. Over there, they'll unpack the big stick too. Would I want anything to do with a company that is happy to take my colleagues elsewhere around the world to court, put them into bankruptcy or maybe worse? I can't do that. It's just not possible for me. I can't accept that. And the fact that nearly nobody is talking about this is what really truly disturbs me. I think many people are very, very happy to keep quiet about this. And so if you agree with me, if you think that the rise of EVs should only be permitted if they are things that can be built ethically and correctly with good conditions for the people making them, and in a world where the people then reviewing them can do so without fear of potential incarceration or being placed on some sort of awful watch list, fearful that they might say something, or maybe at a private dinner they'll make a disparaging remark about a company and then a family member will dob them in. Oh, and one article I saw suggested that the fee that is offered for those who are going to be submitting evidence of wrongdoing on the behalf of others, they might get paid up to, and I just can't believe this, $700,000. Something has gone badly wrong here, ladies and gentlemen. So if at the end of this video, first off, you've made it here, thank you very much, you are as incensed about this as I am, and you think something needs to be done, I'll tell you what you can do. It's real easy. Share this video. Let's make a big enough deal out of this that nobody anywhere in the world is going to be unaware of what BYD and potentially other companies are doing. Let's make it that everybody everywhere who walks into a BYD dealership starts asking difficult questions. Because if the situation's actually going to be fixed, there's only one way this company is going to be encouraged to do anything about it. And that's if you hurt them where it matters. If people stop buying their cars because they know this is wrong, that's the only way something will be solved. For my part, though, I think a company that has ever allowed this to happen in the first place, I'm not sure it can ever be trusted. And because of that, I'm not sure I would ever be able to give you an impartial review. I'm not sure even if a customer brought me their car, it would be impartial, because I'd be worried what had happened to them if I made a review of their car. I mean, imagine that. I review somebody's car, I say it's not maybe as good as you think, maybe I don't even say it's a bad car, but then someone somewhere decides, that person's never getting spare parts. That person's warranty is never ever going to be authorized. Would seem unthinkable, right? But apparently it's not. Anyway, I want to say a big thanks to all of you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.